It's lovely to have some music as I walk to the stage. Thank you. I'm Shaun Fitzgerald, Managing Director of Breathing Buildings. We're in the energy efficiency game. Very big picture. The world of energy, you've got supply, demand. Let's worry about demand. Where's it used in society? Nearly 50% of energy is consumed by buildings. That's a big, big issue. So let's go and find out what we can do with buildings to solve the energy problem. There's climate change, actually just supplying the energy is a big enough problem. If you look at the difference between a mechanically ventilated, air-conditioned building and one that is not, one that is using the forces of nature, namely wind and buoyancy, to drive that ventilation flows, you can halve the energy consumption of that building. Run the numbers, 50% of energy being used by buildings, we can halve the energy consumption of buildings by moving to natural ventilation. It's a big deal. The lighting impact which you see there is actually a function of the fact you've decided to build a naturally ventilated building, built a shallower floor plan, and you've got greater reliance on natural daylight. But the reason you did that was to change the ventilation strategy. So, current wisdom, natural ventilation, hot air rises, and most strategies that have been banded around for the last 20, 30 years in the industry rely on the fact that you've got openings at low level, openings at high level. The air picks up some heat inside, so it sucks in cold air or cooler air through the lower openings and chucks it out through the top. That's what nature does for you, buoyancy. The issue is this. If you are sat by that window on a day like today and the air comes directly onto you, you are going to be subjected to intense cold drafts, which are fundamentally unpleasant. And the previous solution was to go and stick a radiator underneath that window to mitigate the cold drafts. Most modern buildings, after you've insulated them well, and you've stuffed them full of lights, IT, people, maybe even a bit of solar, are furnaces. You've got a lot of heat in that building. It's just in the wrong damn place to go and cure the problem of a draft. But if you go and put heat through a radiator to mitigate the cold drafts, you've got one heck of a problem. You've exacerbated the overheating problem towards the back of the room. And the only thing that then happens is that people open the windows a bit further. That radiator then works overtime and it preheats multiples of the minimum fresh air rate, and you have got a runaway situation. And this is what has caused so many problems in modern buildings. You go and read the literature. Heating bills being twice that which they were predicted because the strategy is wrong. So, 5 years ago, we devised a new way of doing it. And it was a research program at the University of Cambridge, of which I was a key part of. Two of us filed a patent. The research was funded by BP, channeled through MIT and Cambridge University. And we came up with a very simple idea, and it is really, really simple. Instead of bringing the cold air in at low level in winter, bring it in at high level and mix it with enough of the hot air in the space. And that way you use the heat gains in the space to mitigate the cold drafts. This was filed as a patent across the EU, Canada, US. It's been granted in the EU. It's been granted in Canada, still pending in the US. It is absolutely enormous. And by using this strategy in winter and then reverting back to that strategy in the summer, you change the game considerably. The proof is that we've got over 80 buildings up running with our strategy now. The graph on the chart here shows, the graph on the screen shows you what the heating bills for good practice and typical practice secondary schools are compared with our buildings. We halve the energy consumption of the heating bills, and there are lighting benefits as well because of the floor plan. We really do know what we're talking about. The buildings speak for themselves. We show customers day in, day out the energy meters as well as the stunning interior environments. How are we doing this? In the UK, we're addressing the market, not just of the current market of natural ventilation, but the mechanical ventilation market, because we are going to be changing the face of the planet regarding ventilation. We've got an overseas partnership with Price Industries, who have now got the exclusive license on our technology. They're a very large mechanical ventilation company, changing the face of the US and Canada. In terms of team and leadership, we've got myself, so I'm an academic, but also I spent 5 years at Bain & Company, strategy consulting just on the Strand up the road. We have a very strong management team. I'm supported by David Wilkinson, finance director, chartered accountant. We also have incredible investors. We've got BP, Bertie Investments decided to invest in breathing buildings towards the end of last year. MMC Ventures have been a very, very strong supporter of the business. And we are going forward with the Low Carbon Innovation Fund as well behind us. So at the moment, we're looking for buildings. If you've got any projects, we'd love to hear from you. But as always, we're looking for interest. Thanks.